Okay, and make sure I've got some, yeah, we got some sound there. And has folks who are starting to come in. As usual, I am starting a little bit early, so those who come in later can obviously go back and take a look at the video. And I just want to do a little bit of house cleaning here today before we do anything, or just kind of some scheduling stuff, what's going on. My schedules are always posted over there, my weekly schedule, as well as links to screencasts for this course or any other course I'm teaching are in the announcements, as well as virtual office hours. And so if you need to find me, it's not that hard to do. Now, we're over here on module week number 10, okay? And at the end of the week, you folks have some assignments that are due, and let's talk about that for just a moment. XLS 11, that Excel case 11, you should have already uploaded it because we've done it. And I showed everybody, that we did the workshop. Should have uploaded it. Exam 2 Part 1 and exam 2 Part 1, Exam 2 Part 2. I have a file that tells you the resources for exam number 2. It's over there at the end of every module. In fact, I do that. Okay, you'll see that resources for quizzes and exams. For exam 2 part 2, I've got the instructions and a note here to talk about Canvas as opposed to Moodle. And this is where you would upload exam 2 part 2. That's the hands-on portion. Now, I have a couple of screencasts here that you can take a look at. These are examples that will walk you through what I want you to do. Or might help it to see it as it unfolds, these two examples. And then, of course, you've got the written instructions on what to do for that. So you've got XLSX, which you should have already done, uploaded. You've got Exam 2 Part 2 and Exam 2 Part 1. Part 1 is the objective test, and Part 2 deals with a hands-on exercise. And then you have examples for those as well, and you have the resources for the exams and quizzes. So you should be set to go. Let me say this. I would not, under any circumstances, try to do this all at the last minute, especially Exam 2 Part 2. It is hands-on. I've got some pretty explicit instructions, and those, I think you know what's ahead of you. Now, today, as I've said, we're working ahead, and we're going to be looking at Access case number 2 as we move and do some of these skill building exercises. And I have the Excel sheet that has the resources for those MS Access cases, and let's take a look at them for just a minute. Okay, we're on Access case number 2. And here we're going to look at a personnel DB, create a personnel database, tables, use select queries, and do some report design. And the case that I have is the Hudson Palmer case. You'll find it over there in the welcome modules in Canvas, excuse me. And that is that ACCDB to key, and you download that file. That's what you'll turn in for the credit. Or you have the Garden 06, which is out of chapter 6 for the Lambert and Cox text. And as I've said before, if you want that step-by-step kind of direction, the Lambert and Cox text is quite good for that, and we'll do that. So you want to get Garden Company 06 out of that, out of those files. It's out of the chapter 6 file. In fact, I'll open this up here for just a moment, and I'll go over to the chapter 6. That's that zip file, and it's Garden Company 06. So that book, Lambert and Cox, we'll go over here and take a look at it for just a minute. Okay, This is the book. I'll just go up here and here it is. This is our book on access that we'll be using. And here we're going to working in chapter 6. And this is, they give you at a glance, specifying the type of data, restricting the format of data, and validating data, allowing only values and lists. And they'll walk through the learning objectives. Now we're going to be working with Garden 06, Garden Company 06, as well as Hudson Palmer, and we'll do a little bit more work with queries. I'm going to open up the Hudson Palmer case, which when you download it, it comes up as ACCBD2, so don't get confused by that. And then when you go into the shutter, make sure that you click on All Access Objects, if that's not the case. And you scroll down here, and you're going to see there's a Hudson Palmer case number 2, okay? And we're going to be working with it, okay? Now, these are tables from some different cases, and here's the Hudson Palmer case, and we'll open up the table and take a look at it. All right, now, this is a case that is a law firm, and they've got these people who have particular skills. PS is a process server. PI, I think, is a private investigator. Then you had a legal researcher, which is LR, and I don't remember what the EW stood for. Okay, and I think I'd had some other import here, but that's okay. We'll take a look at this. Now, this table has some hourly rates, and one of the things we can do is we could go ahead and import some data into this, and EW is an expert witness. I forgot about that. Okay, now let's go into the design view and take a look at this. And you'll notice that we start off with the last name, the first name, the skill, and the hourly rate of each of these people. Okay, so these are specialized people that we use. And here we see the data are in short text. First name, skill, hourly rate. Okay, well, what I want to do first of all here with this last name is I want to make sure that it's required. Okay, in fact, and then I will put allow zero length. No. And so I've got the last name, it's required, okay? And then let's go to the first name. And here again, we need to change it to where it's required. And I come down to the field properties, and I do that, all right? And I make it required. I put 0, allowed zero length, no. And then we've got their skill. And we probably here want to write out what these means. So I'm going to put EW equals expert witness. This is over in the notes. And then the hourly, and then the PI equals private investigator. Okay. And then we had the PS equals process server. And we had, let me make sure I get that right there. And we had we had private and PI's private investigator, and we had a legal researcher. So we know what those all mean. Okay, and this is just part of that issue of data integrity and building the table. Okay, and that's the skill that they have. And we're going to put yes, it's required. By doing so, we ensure that we don't on zero length, allow zero length, we want no. And then on the hourly rate, it's going to be currency. All right. And we're going to put, that's how much they get paid, and we're going to put required. Yes, it's required. Okay. Now, we've got some things in here like the validation rule and the validation text. These are where if someone runs a query, okay, the query, the data that they put in has to match up with what is in the table. If not, then you have a problem, okay? And that is the record simply will not save. So we're going to leave that alone for now, but we're going to close this table, and we want to save the changes. All right, and so we got the table, this table, Hudson Palmer. Now, we're going to create a form, and as we talked about the other day, all right, if you want to control, if you really want to have control of the data integrity, you set up the table as you desire, and then you create a form. So up here on the toolbar, let me stop for a minute. Is there anybody who's not with me at this point? Because I don't want to leave you behind. Okay. Now, we're going to click Create, and we're going to come over here, and we're going to find the form wizard. All right, now the form wizard lets me basically go through what we call a dialog box, and I can choose what I'm going to make, what the form will be based on, what table or what query, okay? And then we could do some formatting also if we care to do so. So before we do that, let's stop for a moment here. And I want to do something else. I'm going to diminish my screen down. And let's go back over to Canvas. And let's go into the Files section. Okay. And there's a file in here, I think it's called Hudson Palmer Import. There it is. Okay. Here is also this, well, let's open it, let's download it and take a look at it. Now I want to show you what it is. Okay. It's this Excel file. Let's download it. And I'm going to go ahead and put it on my desktop. I'll talk about it here for a minute. Hudson Palmer import is a file, an Excel file, that lets us complete all the data or give us a better table than we had with the original table. You'll notice here that I have everything up to the hourly rate, and then I have quarterly figures in terms of the hour, how many hours they worked, their phone number, their rating, who rated them, etc. So we're going to do this. We're going to save it to the desktop. I'm going to save it on my PC, on my desktop. And we'll click Save. Okay. So I'm going to come down here now, and I've got and here's a backup of Hudson Palmer import, and here it is as well. So I'm going to get rid of the backup. I already have this. That's my doings, but you won't want to because you'll want them. So I've got Hudson Palmer import, and I'm going to open this database backup. Oh no, I have it opened already. Excuse me. And I'm going to do an import. Okay. Now, this is a little bit different, but again, there are going to be those times when we have the data formatted exactly as we want them, etc. And there will be some times when we're going to simply import a table from a spreadsheet or maybe from another database. But let's just do this right now. I'll close that off, and we're going to open up this. Well, this one's open already, so we're going to import the data. Click on External Data, and you'll see a thing that says Import and Link. Okay? Now, I'm going to import an Excel spreadsheet. And I'm going to browse and find it. And I'm going to find the Hudson Palmer import. I click on it. I click Open. And I'm going to into a new table. Now, I could append it to a current table, but I don't want to do that. I want to create a whole new table. So I'm going to click OK. And then we're going to get the Import Spreadsheet wizard. Notice here that we've got it. They show us sample data. Okay. And we want to show the worksheets. And here it is, the worksheet for Hudson Palmer case 2. This is an import. And we'll click Next. And make sure when you do this, it says first row contains column headings. I'll click Next. And we can go through these, each field. We can choose to skip importing one of them. If we want that index, we can do that. And here's the short text, etc. So we're going to click Next. Now we come to the wizard, and the import sheet on the wizard says, do you want to add a primary? You need to have a primary key. They recommend that you do that so that you know that every single record is unique. We kind of did it the old-fashioned way or the hard way when we went into that table just a few minutes ago, and we put required on every single one of them. Okay? We still want to have that, but this will provide us the assurance that every record is unique. Then we'll have our table work to do. So I'm going to click Next. We'll let Access add a primary key, and we're going to import the table to Hudson Palmer, and boom. And there you will see that table, Hudson Palmer case 2, and so this is the import. Yes, this is the import. So I'm gonna close that for a second, and I'm gonna rename this Hudson use me. Okay? And I just simply rename the file. And now we know it's the one that we want to use. Let's open it up now. We have far more extensive data than we had earlier. Okay? Now I'm going to try to stretch this thing out for us. Okay? And you'll see we've got a lot going on. We have for every person, and notice we have only 20 cases here, but these are the ID numbers for each of these persons, and we want to make sure the fields are unique. Now again, we'll scroll across and you'll see we added some comments, a rater. This is a full set table now we can do some work with. Now I'm going to click on File, pardon me, click on Home, and I'm going to go down to the design view on this table. And here we see the key on the left that indicates that it is it indicates that's a primary key. And it's an auto number. Every time we create a new record, it gives it a new number. Let's click on last name, and we want to make sure that it's required. And we don't allow any zero links. Right now it's yes, and we can just type in no if we want. Okay? And then we'll go to the last name, probably the first name, and it's required, yes. You can use drop down or just simply type it in and allow zero length, no. And we'll do the same thing with skill. It's required, yes. There is no reason to have a record, or pardon me, there's no reason to have a field that you don't require. There's just no reason for it. It's just wasted space, and it gives you reports that are really can be junk. They present what we call the problem of null data. Null means nothing. And when you're looking there, you don't know, did they just forget? What does this mean? And we'll put yes, it's required. Okay. And then this is the hours they did for quarter one of 2008, I think. And we'll put yes, this is required. And this is how we're building integrity into our table. You see, if it's not required, you're going to get null values, and then you don't know if I messed up or not. And we'll put required. On the phone number, we're going to put that it's required. Okay. And we're going to use an input mask. We talked about that some the other day. Click on that field input mask, and then see the little blue square with the infinity. Look at that. I'll say. Okay, it says it only works with okay. Oh, let's go back and try that again. Text or data field types. All righty. Now we're about to have to, we're at a point where we have to make a calculated decision. Do we want to leave the phone number as a number, or do we want to allow it to be text so that we can use the input mask. And I'm going to put in, we're going to make a decision, and we're going to say, okay, I want to make sure that the data are inputted correctly. So the phone number, I'm going to turn that into see, auto number, yes or no. We're going to put as long text. And now, let's see if it's going to let us have that. Got a caption for it. Let's put short text. Let's see, here we are. We want to choose short text, and we're going to do an input mask. Now, here's the phone number, and here's the format that we want it in. And so when someone inputs the data for a phone number, it will be uniform. And so we're going to click, we can even try it. You know, you've worked with these. I'll put in the phone number at my office, 405 58, yikes, 585 4416. And it shows us what it'll look like. So we'll click next. And we want it without the symbols in the mask. We want it like this. This stores the phone number as a text number, kind of a variable character. And we're going to use this because this is what we as humans best understand. So we click that, okay? And there's the input mask is created. Then we come down here on the rating, and we want to require it. Okay. Allow zero length, no. And then we want to come to the rater. And this is required, yes. And then on zero length, no. And now we're ready to save our table. And to do that, we'll click on the data sheet view right up here in the far left corner. And we're going to save the table. Yes, we want to save it. And we're good to go. Now, to see the effect of this, all right, if we enter a new person, a new record, the system will not allow that record to save unless you put a value in there. And I'm going to start off with last name is Kruger. Okay. And notice Kruger is our expert number one, and it's Freddie. Okay. And his skill is let's see, what is it Freddie does for us? Freddie is an expert witness. He's committed so many crimes, and we'll pay him $200 an hour. He is, after all, a movie icon. And we won't put anything in there for quarter one, nothing for quarter two, and we'll put maybe 3 for quarter 3, and then for quarter 4, we'll leave that away. And we won't put in a number, and we won't put in a rating, and we won't put in a rater, and we won't put in, well, under comment, we'll say he's scary. Okay. So I'm going to go to the data sheet view. Okay. And notice it says you must enter value. And it's not going to let us get out of here until we put in all of those data. So even if he hasn't worked for us, we'll put 0. Now we know he didn't work for us that quarter, and he didn't work for us in the fourth quarter. And we have a phone number for him, and it's 405-666-6666. My poor attempt at humor. And our rating, we always give Freddie an excellent rating. We know it's good for us. And the rater would be, let's call it KH. And our comment is, he's scary, but good. Okay? And now I'm ready to go back up to the data sheet view because I've met all the requirements. Okay? And I'm good to go. Now, we've got him all here. And we're through messing with the fields. So we're going to get ready and look at this. We've got the table. It's all set up, etc. And we'll close that table. And then I want to go back home and I'll make sure I pin my top up here. And I'm good to go. There he is. And there's our table, and we've added a record. Now we're ready. We have true referential integrity here. We have validity for the data. Every record is complete, and it won't let us save a record or go forward if we don't put in data in every single field. So we just don't have an empty field sitting there. Now we're ready to create a form. A form, as we talked about the other day, is an object in Access or any database that allows us to populate a table more effectively. So we're going to click Create, and we're going to come over to the Form Wizard, and you'll notice it says, what tables or queries do you want to create a form from? And you'll see there are all the tables, and then any queries that exist, we can create a form off of a query. We're going to use the Hudson Palmer Use Me, and we're going to get all the fields. And we'll click Next. And it gives us the look. There's columnar, like a columns. There's tabular. Here's a data sheet. Here's justified. And I'm going to stick with the tabular. And open the form to enter new information. And we'll click Finish. And we have our form. Now let's close the table there, and we'll make sure that the table behind there is closed. And here's our form. Now I can go into the design view for this form. I can go to the layout and change some things like the size of the fields and all that. Or I can go even deeper, okay? And I can click on the design view. And here's where I can add objects. I can put color. I can do all kinds of things. You'll notice that this is laid out with these grids and the dots, and it's so that you can get great precision. You could insert, for example, here you're going to click on that, and we could put in a fill. Okay. And we can do some other things. We can put in a background image if we care to. We can do the shape fill. You click on the design view up there, okay? And for the form, you can see that we can add colors, fonts, all kinds of things. We can even insert an image. So if I have an image of like my puppy, my favorite puppy, or like I have with Cardinal Buddy, you can put your form or the company logo or whatever you want to do. Let's go back up to the form view, okay? And here we can also scroll down and you can see we can do a search, we can add a new record, okay? Now, this layout view again is just something that lets me work with these at the top level, cosmetic kinds of things. You can also click on the design, and you do have some design options. And let's click right here. And you could put some controls in if you care to do that. Themes, colors, etc. We got the format, we can arrange things. So our form is what we want it to be, and we'll just click home. And away we go. And as we scroll down here and we go to the forms, we're going to find reports, and here's a form. And I want to go back to the design view. And again, this is a place where you can put some commands, add a hyperlink, have a tab control, a control button. It's up to you in terms of what you want. Now, if you click on Create, okay, and you click More Forms, you can also see a multiple items form, a data sheet, or a split form. Let's click on the split form for a minute, and you'll see something that's probably, this is the most prevalent when people are inputting data and they're populating a table. And what you see here at the top is the form, and down here in this other area is the table itself. So you can see changes to the table as they occur. Now, there are a lot of people out there that like this so they can double check. But you know, like I said, most of the time, you're going to do everything you can to have your customer or end user populate those tables for you, self-reported data. We'll close it now. And now we'll keep our regular form. Okay? Now we're ready to do a little bit of work. And so we're going to create a query. And I'm going to click Create. And we're going to go to the Query Design. And this gives us the Show Table dialog box. And I'm going to find Hudson Palmer, Use Me. I'll click it, and I'll click Add. And here it is in the table. Okay? Now, I'm going to close this. And you come down to the selection area where you choose the field that you want from each table. And I'm interested in finding out how many I'm interested in looking at our expert witnesses. So I'm going to choose the last name. And I'm going to click Skill. And down here, the criteria, I'm going to put double quotes EW for expert witness. And then I'm going to click on the hourly rate. and I'm going to look at their ratings. I'll run the query. And here we are. So we know, so we ran a query, we look at who are our expert witnesses, what is their hourly rate, what are their ratings. Now again, I can't emphasize enough to you, just as we imported data today from Excel into Access, there will be those times when we run a data, when we take a database and export a bunch of data in a table into something like Excel so we can work with it and manage and do some computational work, that type of thing. And luckily for you, the products that are out there now like SAP, SAS Visual Analytics, Oracle, those, and then Tableau, those applications are designed to give you the best of both worlds. The ability to go in and pull out data from enormous sets of data and look, and then to put it into a spreadsheet or what we would call an analytic engine, and it provides get some summary statistics, for example, use some visualization, etc. But we say, okay, what are they making? Okay, and if we want, now Access has also up here, you have some things you can do. And for example, if I want, I can come over here and I can get they've got totals, and I can get the average. For all of those. Now, let me get this off here for just a second. Close that back. We'll go back up. And we're going to call this, save it as query Z. And we'll close it. We're going to open it back up. And we're going to go back over here to query Z. And we're going to open it. And we're going to use we're going to develop what's called an expression. Now let's see what this will do, if it'll do it for us. I'm going to put in average in a bracket, and I'm going to put in hourly rate. We put the bracket in there so the machine knows the field that we're working with, and we're creating a new field, an expression. Let's see what happens. And there we are. That gives us our average figure. And, well, let's look at this for a second. Let's go back down to the design view, because I think I may have, well, let's go back. Let's just go back up here for a minute. We don't need this field. Let's just hide that. We'll just get rid of it. And we'll do some expressions. Now, whether or not this will persist, this average rate, is anybody's guess. Okay? And I've had Access is a little spotty in that regard, but when you're out at work and you're working with a commercial product, you'll be able just to get that data. We've got the average. And then we're going to come down here and we're going to try to create another field if it's going to let us, which it probably will not do. Maybe it'll let us do a field in here. And we're going to do a totals field. No, I got rid of the other one, so we'll do the totals. And here we've got the average. Now, if I want, I could get the sum. I can get the maximum. I can get the minimum. I can get the standard deviation. I can get the variance, which is the standard deviation squared. But I just want the average. And in newer forms of access, this will persist where you can use a toolbar up there. But as I said before, you probably are going to be better off if you have a long data set to fire that over into something like Excel. If you're on a commercial product, then you can just throw it into a computational area. Now, so we've got query Z. So we've gotten the ratings and let's see. And I want to limit this now to those who are only rated as excellent. So I'm going to go back down to the design view, and on the rating, on the criteria, I'm going to put excellent. Okay. And I'll go to the data sheet view. And here we see that the 3 people who are rated as excellent and their average. So we'll go back down to the design view. And we'll get rid of that criterion. And we'll go back up and we can look for those who have good, okay, and poor. The same thing for them. On this data set, we could look at private eyes, which would be the same thing here. We can look at them to see how many private eyes we have. And we can do that for each of these groups. When I eliminate the criterion here, I'm going to get everybody. And I have the average for all of them. Okay? So we've run a query. Now, notice that I have some tables over here for the rater, okay, and the ratings. And I would like to do something with my table. So let's go back up here to Hudson Palmer use me, and let's open it up. All right, and this other query, let's close it off. And we're going to use a lookup table. You say, what in the world are you talking about? Let's go to the design view and I'll show you. Click on rating. Okay. And you'll see a little tab here called lookup. And it says display the control, and we're going to put a combo box. So let me repeat what I just did. I'm down here in the general field properties, and I find the lookup tab, and I click and it goes to text box, but I'm going to use a combo box. Okay? And we're going to create a drop-down menu. Very simple but powerful technique for working with our data. Now we have the row source type, and it says table or query, and we're going to click that's okay. And then it says row source. Click on that, and we're going to click on the little three dots, and we're going to get a dialog box that pops up. And I'm going to click Hudson Palmer use me. I'll close it. And we're going to get the rating and the rater. Okay? And we're going to run that query. Well, let's find, do the data sheet view. And I want to close the table off. I've never encountered that before. That's strange. Let's put the row source query and Hudson Palmer. Oh, I'm sorry. I messed this up. I messed this all up. I'm sorry. Back to the drawing board, folks. Earth domain. Row source, and I'll click the three blue dots. That's where I was messing up. And then come down on the on the tables, click rater, and we're going to add it, and then click on rating, and we'll add that. Okay. Now on the rater table, we were trying to use the well, we were trying to use a table that was already open when we had these tables. So I'm going to choose name and score. And I'm going to run the query. And this will show us the name and the score. Okay. And we'll close it off. This is Windows 7. Yes, we'll update. And now, here's what this is saying. When we have the rating, okay, we're going to have a rater name and a rating score. And that's from those two tables. Let's go upstairs and and let's see, the bound column is 1. The column count is going to be 2. And the column width, I'm going to put 1 inch, semicolon, 1 inch. Now let's see what this looks like. Probably a mess. Save the table. And let's come over here now, and as we scroll across, and we're going to click on the rating. And notice, let me open this up so you can see what we've gotten accomplished here. And we'll take the rater and move it over just to here. And here are the ratings. Okay. Now, when we did our query there, we kind of messed ourselves up because I didn't put them in the right order. I was just kind of whipping through it. Okay. So let's go back down in this thing and do it right. So I'm going to wipe that row source out. And this is the rating. And I'm going to click the magic 3, and I'm going to get the rating table. That's all I wanted. There we go. And I want the rating and the score. And then we'll run that. So we're creating a drop-down menu, and we're going to go back up. Okay. And we're going to take a look here now, and I'll show you this lookup table that we just met, this lookup drop-down menu. Now, because we put the word excellent in front of the numeric rating, that's what will show up. Okay? But we also know if they want to have a numeric, we know what that excellent means in terms of a numeric rating. It's 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay? And so we would have this now on every single one of these, rating columns. Now for the rater, we want to go back in and do the same thing. And we'll do a lookup table. We'll do a combo box. And here at the row source type, I'm going to go and I'm going to find the rater table. And I'm going to get their name. Okay. I'm going to run it. It'll give me those names. And I close it off. And now I will go upstairs and take a look. We'll save the table, and let's go over and take a look at the rating. The rater. And notice, see, we have JH. We know what it would be: Jeffrey Hudson, Bradley Palmer, etc. In fact, I think we have the rater initials there. We know who they are. Okay. And we might want to go ahead and mask this by having the name in a second box. Not a big deal there at all. So I would know who JH is. I would know who BP is, FM, and RF. And we'll go ahead and we'll close this table. So we've done quite a bit here in terms of this table in doing some work. Now, I had some pre-created queries down here and some tasks, and I want to open these up, and I want to see what these were. This is from okay, yeah, this is one of them where I'm looking at their skill rating, their rating, their first name, last name, and their comments. And notice I had created a drop-down menu over here. What each of these means. This is done right the way I should have done over in a minute. You could see. So I know what those mean. I hadn't done anything. Yeah, I did. I went ahead and put the, oh yeah, good. This is how you want to have it done, is the caption and then the numeric. The only thing we don't have here is the rater themselves. Then here's another task that we did with that, okay? And this is one that where we used an expression where we did the total hours that they worked. We'd had the hours by quarter, and we computed their total earnings for the year. I'm going to go down to the design view, and I'm going to let you see these expressions. And here's the first one where we looked at the total number of hours worked. Okay? I'm going to control that. And then I'm going to throw it onto a sticky. And we've got the total hours worked for 2018. And we had inside brackets let me get the whole thing here for you. I'll show you what we had. There was the expression. See, this is going to be one of those reasons why you're going to say, man, I'd be crazy if I didn't put this into something like Excel. Because writing these expressions out gets pretty tedious. Here we are. I'll show you the expression. So we had this expression called total hours worked 2008, and then we put a colon in front of it. Then we added quarter, the first quarter, the second, the third, and the fourth. Now that's not that difficult to do, but it's just extra work where if you're working, if you're having to work with this and you don't have, if you're at work somewhere and you don't have, you have a database, but you can't do a lot in terms of computation with it without writing a lot of expressions. Throw it into Excel and do what you need to do. And now we have total earnings for 2008. And we'll show you another wrinkle there. And so we're doing some work on the queries. We've pretty much covered what, in terms of tables, what we can do with them at this point, but we'll get this and I'll throw it up on a note for you so you can see. And there we go. And we have the total hours total earnings is the total hours worked. That's in bracket times the hourly rate. I go back up and there it is. Again, I would work in an Excel sheet with something like this. The last piece of this are our reports. And I think we wanted to find if we had any expert witnesses making more than $250. Let's look at task 4. I think that maybe that was it. No, it's task 5. And I'm going to go down into the design view of this and take a look. And you got their first name. There it is, the skill. Notice what we did here. We used the skill field and we suppressed that EW so it wouldn't just be sitting there repeating. And I think that's just about it, except here's the report. I did a little bit of strange writing there, but you could see why I just don't like reports in Access. They're jumbly and they're difficult to work with. Okay, I'm going to close this off, and of course, you can upload it to Canvas. You have that there. We're also going to look at the garden. Now, before I do that, I want to make sure, I want to hop over here for a moment. Vital source. Again, if you want to go step by step by step, okay, they're going to show you how to put those fields together, and we've already done that, and we've even gone so far as to do lookup tables, and we have an input mask there. Okay. And she talks about the practice files. And so you can see, and she's going to walk you through some of the issues that you run into in terms of money versus currency. So it's worth your time to go take a look, especially in terms of understanding the types of fields, etc., and restrictions on the data. Now she also covers the input mask. So you can see I kind of wing it through on an old case and show you what we're working with. Now, I'm going to open up the Garden Company file. Garden Company 06. I'm going to save it over here. Okay, it's telling me step. Okay, I'm going to give it a different name. Garden Company 06, Harmon. And now it's going to allow me to do some enabling of the content. And here they are. They have a customers list. And we'll go into the design view. And notice they have a primary key. And here the authors. How much practical experience they've had, I assume they've had quite a bit, but brother, I'm telling you what, when I see a not required, it gives me the heebie-jeebies. Here's the saying, your last name, why would you not require that? The address, you can see what I'm saying. I mean, it's just silliness. The postal code, I'm not sure if they have an input mask on that or not. Doesn't appear to be. Country, this is just a raw piece of table that you would want to work through. And then we have the employees, the same story. And you can go in on this file and play around with it as well, add, embellish it, etc. And we really didn't do anything differently today here. This table needs some references, and so do the shippers. This is just an empty table. Okay, well, we started about 15 minutes early today, and so I'm going to call it a day. And of course, the case we worked on today, you can upload it. I have others you can upload for credit, but I'd say right now, upload ACCDB2 for your credit for the workshop for this access case, and I will see everybody on Thursday.